Photoshop's Generative Fill can help you completely alter your images. I'll show you how to do this step by step. Stay tuned till the end, I've got some tips for your success. So the amazing thing about Generative Fill is you can use it to remove unwanted objects. So the easiest way to get to Generative Fill is through the contextual taskbar. To get the contextual taskbar, just go up to Window, then Contextual Taskbar. First, you want to select the Object Selection tool, then just select an object to modify. There are two different ways that you can do Generative Fill. You can either type in a prompt of something you want to replace the item with, or you can hit Generate. Every time Photoshop comes up with a Generative Fill or a replacement, it's going to put it on a separate layer. Photoshop will come up with 3 options for you to choose from. The other thing you can do is continue to hit Generate, or you can modify your prompt. You can also hit the ... button and generate similar if you find something you like. Let's say this family went on a vacation to San Francisco but didn't take a picture with the Golden Gate Bridge. We can fix that. So before we add the Golden Gate Bridge, we're going to modify some of their attributes. So one of the amazing things that Generative Fill does is you can actually select someone's clothing and change it. So to do that, you can either use the Object Selection tool, or if it's a person, you can go up to Select People and then choose their attribute. In the prompt, you can actually be specific about what you're looking for, like a sweater. So what Generative Fill does when you're making these modifications is it blends it with the actual photograph behind it. So you've got a complete picture with the changes and the original photo behind it. So my tip is, if you want to go and change the background after you've modified your original image, select all your layers, right-click, and select Convert to Smart Object. This way you can select your subject or remove your background from the Smart Object. And if you go into your Smart Object, you will still have your generative layers that you can modify if you need to. So let's go ahead and remove background. Now let's hit Generate Background. Remember, you have 3 options. And if you don't like your options, you can always hit Generate again. Or you can modify your prompt. Let's use Generative Fill to replace some items in this image. Let's say if you wanted to select this chair and replace it with a different one. Using the Object tool, you roll over and then select Generative Fill and type in your prompt. And just like that, we've changed the chair to a different type. And don't forget, you can always choose a different one, or you can regenerate. Let's say we have some unwanted clutter on this table. Let's go ahead and remove it. Make sure you've got the right layer selected if you've done any other generative fills. To remove unwanted objects, go up to the Object Selection tool, select the object, and then on the taskbar, hit Remove. And let's say we want to modify these pieces of art. Just type in your prompt and hit Generate. And just like that, we've modified a few items we didn't want in our image. Next, we're going to go over Generative Expand, which allows you to increase your canvas while Generative Fill fills in the rest. So I'm going to show you an example where you can use Generative Expand in 2 different ways. First, go over to the Crop tool, and once you select it, you'll see there's aspect ratios and presets that you can use. So the first way I'm going to show you is by just hitting Generative Expand. So this option really just gives you the background as if you expanded it alone. So the other way to use Generative Expand is to use the prompt bar and add items that you want to show up in the background as it expands. So here are some tips to get you started. So there are 2 ways to do Generative Fill. You can either just hit Generate, or you can type in a prompt. After you hit Generate, it gives you 3 variations, which you can either get from the Properties panel or from the contextual taskbar. For additional variations, you can generate similar if you found something you like, or you can just hit Generate. Each time you hit Generate, it comes up with 3 additional variations. All your variations will be in the Properties panel or in the contextual taskbar. You can combine your layers into a smart object to make edits to your image as a whole. I hope you've enjoyed this deep dive into Photoshop's Generative Fill.